Hey everyone, and welcome. So, today we're digging into something I think is super fascinating. Why do some communities just become these amazing hubs for innovation, while others seem kinda stuck? Well, it often comes down to these two powerful, self-feeding forces that can either trap a place or, launch it into the stratosphere. So, let's get right into it. I mean, you've probably seen this yourself, right? You look at one city and it's just buzzing with new startups, fresh energy, tons of investment. And then you look at another town, maybe just a couple hours away, and it feels completely stagnant. So what's going on? What's the invisible force that makes such a huge difference? Well, the key here, what a lot of the research tells us, is that it really comes down to one of two things. We're talking about these self-perpetuating cycles. One of them, the vicious one, can drag a community down into a spiral it can't get out of. And the other, the virtuous one, can launch it into this incredible upward trajectory of success. Let's break down how they both work, starting with the trap. Okay, so first up is the vicious cycle. The best way to think about this is like a flywheel that's spinning in the wrong direction, or maybe even quicksand for a community's economy. Once you're in it, it's incredibly hard to get out. So, where does it all begin? It usually starts with the culture. There is just no real culture of enterprise. Starting a business isn't seen as a cool or valuable thing to do. And because of that, you get a really weak pipeline of new ideas, what investors call poor deal flow. And this lack of good, interesting ideas has a huge knock-on effect. The money stays away. Investors look at the scene and think, nope, nothing for me here. With no risks capital around, anybody who does want to start something is totally on their own, facing this massive risk with no support. It makes getting a new business off the ground feel pretty much impossible. And that high-risk environment creates this fear that just hangs in the air, a fear of failure. People are absolutely terrified to take a chance because there's just no safety net. This leads to a dynamic where the system has to desperately push mediocre companies just to survive, instead of having great ideas being pulled forward by real market demand. And here it is, the final turn of the spiral. What you're left with is a bunch of low-quality firms, which, gives entrepreneurship a bad name in the community. It becomes this low-status career choice. And that takes us right back to where we started, a culture that doesn't value new ventures. The trap snaps shut. But, okay, that's the doom and gloom part. It absolutely does not have to be this way. On the flip side, you have the virtuous cycle. Now, this isn't a trap at all. It's an engine for growth that just builds on itself, gaining more and more momentum with every single turn. This engine gets started with successful institutions. Now, this could be a couple of breakout companies that make it big, or maybe even a university that's churning out talent and research. Whatever it is, these successes create visible role models, real people you can point to and say, hey, they did it right here, it's possible. And having those role models, that right there fundamentally changes the whole culture. Suddenly, being an entrepreneur isn't some weird, risky thing. It becomes a desired role status. It's respected. It's cool. And what happens when a career path becomes the cool thing to do? It starts to attract the best talent. And this is where the real magic kicks in. When you have a flood of top talent, it starts to attract critical resources. Yep, we're talking about that risk capital that was totally missing before. That money helps sustain entrepreneurship, and, just as importantly, it helps build a community-wide tolerance for failure. Because now everyone gets it. Taking risks is just part of the game. And that supportive vibe encourages the next wave of success stories to get started. So you can really see the two different paths here. One is just this self-feeding trap, and the other becomes a self-sustaining launchpad for innovation and for real growth. I mean, just look at them side by side. The difference is night and day, isn't it? The vicious cycle is all about scarcity and fear. No good deals, no money, no respect. But the virtuous cycle is fueled by success and abundance. You've got great role models, they attract talent, the talent attracts capital, and that capital fuels even more success. So, the billion-dollar question is, how does a community get from the left side of the screen to the right? Well, the good news is, it's possible to actually build a bridge. Communities aren't just doomed to stay stuck in a vicious cycle forever. It turns out there's a way to intentionally make that switch. And we actually have a kind of a roadmap for this thanks to a researcher named Venkataraman. Back in 2004, he identified what he called the 7 intangibles. You can think of these as the key ingredients a community needs to get that negative flywheel to stop and start spinning in the positive direction. All right, so let's walk through this blueprint. These 7 things are the practical, actionable steps a community can actually take to build an ecosystem that really thrives. Okay, the first 4 are all about building the foundation. It starts with having focal points, like universities, where new ideas can bubble up. Then, you need those visible local role models to inspire people. After that, you've got to have informal forums. We're talking coffee shops, meetups, co-working spaces, places where people can just bump into each other and connect, because that's where so many great ideas actually get started. And finally, the ideas themselves have to make sense for the place, playing to the region's unique strengths and its history. Now, the final 3 are all about making sure this whole thing can last and grow. Number 5 is all about safety nets. Let's be real, entrepreneurship is risky, so things like fair bankruptcy laws, the kind that don't totally punish you for failing, are absolutely crucial to get people to take those risks. Number 6 is market access. New companies have to have gateways to reach national or even global customers if they're going to scale. And lastly, number 7, you need strong executive leadership, people who have the skills and the grit to navigate the tough times and actually grow a business. So when you really boil it all down, this transformation is about shifting the entire mindset of a community. You're moving from a culture that's paralyzed by a fear of failure to one that has a tolerance for failure. You're going from pushing companies just to survive to letting the market pull the best ones toward success. And maybe, most importantly, you're turning entrepreneurship from a low-status gamble into a desired role that people actually aspire to. So that leaves us with a final question for you. Take a second and think about your own town, your own city. Which one of these cycles does it feel like it's in right now? And, more importantly, looking at that list of 7 intangibles, what's the very first one, the first piece of the puzzle that you think you could help build to either make your virtuous cycle stronger, or maybe, just maybe, start breaking free from a vicious one? Thanks so much for tuning in.